Hello, Leo. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Bonefire Tarot by Gabby Angus West. For supportive oracle cards, Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. Cool beans, cool beans. Okay. Cool bean. Okay, we're having the cool beans moment. I don't know what that's about, but let's go right into it. Alright. Let's put up these other cards before we start. Well, it's kind of like there's a weird... Okay. So, you and somebody else, there's kind of like this crossed energy on both sides. Alright, so the way this energy is coming in is the Ace of Pentacles is leading it in. Ace of Pentacles is like a really solid, lucrative situation usually. There's a lot of value to it. It doesn't have to be monetarily. It usually is. A lot of times it is. But sometimes it could be like family or some type of investing in like people or a situation or investing in an experience. Like this can come up for like schooling. Like if you're going for schooling and you're starting some type of course or some type of subject. This is saying it's going to pay off, it's going to take a lot of work, but you're going to get a lot of benefit of it. That's the type of energy we're feeling with this. So you're getting involved with something. You know it's going to take some time. You know it's going to take a bit of work. But you know what? You realize it's the payoff. And you're like, it's worth the payoff. But when you're getting involved, you got the darkness crossed with the fear. And the darkness is kind of like... this is the starting off moment of the situation. You're hopeful. It seems like a good idea. You think you're going to like it. But you need to kind of get your feet wet on it and really get a better feel about what's... You have to experience some more of it. You want to experience some more. Like get your hands dirty in the soil, if you will. Like if you're going to garden, you know, if you're starting gardening, you got to get your hands dirty in the soil and work it up a bit and see what you got to work with here and understand how that actually feels. And the fear over the top of it is like you might be keeping this to yourself, but part of you is kind of nervous. Like, what if I really don't like this? What if I'm investing in something that I'm not really excited about? It just sounds good, but when I actually do it, I'm going to find out it's not for me. And I feel like for those of you this is really hitting with, you're like, yeah, that's happened to me before. Like I thought something was a great idea. I thought it was for me. I was all gung-ho until I got like, 2 miles into it, and then I'm like... I don't want to do this anymore. Not for me. And with the Ace of Pentacles, there's a lot of investing with time here. Probably, there could be, especially if there's schooling involved, there's probably some investing in money too to make that happen. So you're a little nervous about it. The fear is kind of like, what if I get so far into this and then I'm like, I don't want to do this. Now, in the environment, what you're getting involved with, that does feel like fruition crossed with sovereignty is telling me if you put in the work, you put in the effort, you seem to be guaranteed some level of success. You seem to be guaranteed that. I feel like all that you're nervous about literally is like, what if I get too deep into this and I thought I liked something and when I really got into it, I really didn't want it. As this keeps going forward, I feel like as you take your first few steps, first few moments, maybe even your first few weeks into this, I feel like it's one of those things, you might be keeping it to yourself, but you're like, I don't even know. I don't know what to think. It seems like a good idea. It's kind of like when you start off with just the basics, like the ABCs of a situation, it just feels very remedial. It's not very exciting. And you know that. You're like, this is just, it's almost like getting the verbiage down. Like with some certain subjects, you got to learn terms. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean? You have to learn all the terms so that we can keep up with the subject and keep up with the learning. And it's almost like you're at that point. Like, I have to learn the lingo. I have to learn the language so that I know what I'm dealing with. I have to learn the outline. I have to learn the blueprint. It's kind of boring in the beginning. But I'm getting the Queen of Coins here, which is, don't get caught up in the gender, but like you're putting in that emotional effort, kind of like, all right, this part isn't that exciting. But I'm dedicated to get to that point where I find out. I know that this part, I knew this part wasn't going to be the most popping off at the moment, having a great time. I knew that was going to happen. So let me keep going and let me see. Like, I'll just have to hold on. But there's a nervous energy with that in this beginning part. Like, what if I don't really like this? Okay. As we keep going forward, there's a moment here where you really have to look a little closer to the situation. You have to look more at the details. All right. And this reminds me of a friend of mine who went into... It was a medical related field. It wasn't nursing, but it was related to it. And there's something that, like, the technical part wasn't that exciting, but when it started to be applied, like, they were doing something with certain types of machines. And when they started, like, getting the data and understanding the data and how this applies there and what that means and what this actually means for the person, like when you're doing the tests, when you get back this data, what that actually means and how to interpret it, this stuff, when they could actually apply it to somebody's life, that's when they got to the point where they could really assess and like, all right, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm getting my feet wet here. I know how to apply these situations. I understand how this affects people. I understand what this means a little bit. Like you're nowhere near an expert. You're still beginner level. But you're close enough to the point where you're like, okay, I understand what's happening. I can understand this. I can see how that plus that equals this. I see how this is affecting people. I see how this affects that. You're starting to come together with it. Okay, I see how this works. Okay. And I'm seeing like you're starting to make that connection. So it's like you're assessing if you really like it. You're starting to make the connection, like A is connecting with B. All right, I'm understanding. I got the lingo down. You're a bit into it at this point. Still a beginner level, still figuring it out. Is this going to go good or bad is my question. I feel like at this point you haven't fully committed. It says acceptance, but when I'm feeling acceptance is like you're just starting that, like the shock between the hands is like you're making that connection. It's kind of an electric bolt where you're starting to get excited about it. What comes next is the Fool card. When you're starting to get that little jolt, you're starting to feel it. It does say acceptance, and they are saying that's valid. That's your beginning of accepting it. You're not totally there at that point, but that's your beginnings of accepting the situation. Your beginnings to releasing your emotions into it, if that makes sense. You're fully starting to become committed to it at this point. I am getting that this situation is right for you, whatever you're thinking about. It's going to start with acceptance. It's a slow, like, it starts to make that electric shock, like, oh, I know what this is. Oh, that makes sense to me. And it starts to feel good. Soon after that, you're going to have surrender with the death card, which the death card in this situation is very good. Because you're surrendering to it, you're going full board into it. I have a weird feeling like until this moment, you haven't completely given into it. Like that's why the surrender is there. Like when the surrender hits with the death card, you're going full board into this. Full board. Like you're not holding back at all. You're like, it's do or die, and I'm gonna do. It's very interesting because I feel like this is what they're kind of doing this reading for. If this is really hitting for you, you're gonna get very, very, very excited. You're gonna want to run. You've just learned to crawl and you're ready to run. That's the feeling. That's the feeling I'm getting here. So you got surrender with the death card saying you're in. You're ready to do it. You're ready to go. You're like, I want to do it all. I want to take extra courses. I want to accelerate my learning. I want to do more. I want to get involved more. I want to get this going faster. I want to get it going. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. That's when you hit this moment. Boundaries. You have a different, it's like it's flopped. You went from like not really sure if you were going to really be able to give yourself into it, not really sure if you were really going to like it as much as you were hoping you were going to, and now you're on the other side. You're like, you like it, you love it, you want to get the learning done as fast as possible, you want to get right into it, you want to get your hands, like you want to get really into it, you want to run, you just learned to crawl, and you're ready to run. Boundaries here in the environment is saying, just be aware when you're having that feeling, you could run into some problems. Talk out what you're going to do before you do it. Don't just run ahead. Some of you, especially if this is a learning situation where you have to learn more information, you want to absorb more information, keep in contact with your advisors or somebody who's helping you with your education, because you can jump ahead it's not bad to jump ahead, but have somebody coach you on what you're jumping ahead with. Because I'm getting this feeling like you could jump ahead and understand certain aspects of things, but that you're not able to apply it correctly, and it could cause snafus or problems. Like you could get valid information but not know the correct way to apply it. Be careful. Make sure you keep in contact with an advisor so that this works for your benefit. This works to your advantage, especially if it's an education thing where you need to learn more. Talk with somebody who knows where you're going and can direct you and like say like, okay, you're excited, you want to run, I understand that, but you need to stand first. And for you to stand first, go to the couch and pull yourself up and get your balance down and do these things. These things can keep you occupied and keep you engaged. And I feel like they can help you with that. Like, still, don't just try to run. Don't do that. Use the couch. Pull yourself up. Bring up your strength. And I feel like they can advise you and help you keep engaged, help you keep amused. What's the word I want to use? Help keep your interest. Like, help satisfy your curiosity without you... Because I feel like some of you might jump ahead and you might jump into some valid information but not have the correct time to apply it. It's like when you apply valid information at the wrong time, it's like it's the wrong answer with the right information. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, how do I explain this? It's like your first language for me, anyway, is English. And it's like, you learn something, you're like, oh, I'm going to need Italian at some point. So you learn some Italian, so then you try to, like, oh, okay, I see the situation, and you try to apply Italian to it, and they're like, no, that's French. You can't apply Italian terms to a French sentence. Does this make sense? Probably not. I hope I'm making it. Like, it's just kind of like you have valid information. Like, Italian is perfect. That's a valid language. That's going to be purposeful at some point. But if you're applying it to, like, a French sentence, like the verbiage isn't going to match correctly, it's going to be a little off, and you're not going to realize like it's a different language. I hope that makes sense, because it's like you're going to be able to attain valid information but not apply it correctly, and it could cause some snafus that you don't need. So keep in contact with an advisor. Let them help your progress go forward in a way that you can actually make good on, that'll make you feel good and empower you. Because I feel like I'm getting this sense of like people gaining information. I'm feeling people, like for the Leos or whoever you are, connecting to this. You're going to gain very valid information but not have the correct place to put it, and not realize till after the fact that it wasn't the correct situation to apply the valid information that you had. I hope that makes sense. I really do. Everything will work out, but they're saying work with this energy. This boundary will protect you. Somebody will seek somebody else out who knows what they're doing with the same situation. They will guide you and help you find things to keep you occupied and help you lucratively help you find a good way to go forward, but it'll actually balance out and work to your favor instead of working against you. Like, really look for somebody to help you advise. Look for somebody to advise you to move forward. I'm tripping over my words because it's like there's a lot of energy there. It's like trying to do the right thing, but having the wrong tools to do the right thing. It's like trying to pound in a nail with a screwdriver. It's just like, that's not the right way to do it. You know what I mean? It's just not the right way to do it. You might have some valued success there a little bit, but it's just not the way to do that. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I feel. So seek out this advisor. This advisor will help you do the right thing and help you find ways to find things to further your education in a way that will value you and help you move forward without causing snafus. All right, I'm just going to keep doing it in circles, so I'm going to let it go. If the message is either there or it isn't, either one or two, it's either there or it's not at this point. I hope it made it. All right, well, thank you for watching. I really hope that helps. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.